going back and forth to Eastern Europe, and I had heard about this residency in Hungary, in Cermaic, where they work with fine white porcelain. So my first experience there was through a residency. But after that, I just went on my own. This luster glaze was popular in England and France and Spain and Italy and Hungary and a lot of countries. But it went out of fashion and after a time. And this one factory that I work with has continued to use this glaze. The luster glaze originated in the 9th century in 9th century Persia.
Okay.
And it's also been said that the luster glaze was discovered when people were trying to create gold through an alchemical process.
Right.
What happens, there's a special kiln, and there are ingredients in the glazes. In this case, there's silver nitrate in almost all of these glazes, and copper, and bismuth, and other elements. And what happens at a certain stage of firing, the oxygen is cut off in the kiln. At that point, molecules recombine because they're starved for oxygen. In that process, a very thin layer of metal is deposited on the outside. I'm interested in the fact that this is on the edge of kitsch, that it references pop art, op art, and that is incorporating the process in the imagery, which could relate to ancient temples. So I just build these elements and then I attach them. Like there is a structure made out of slabs on the bottom, and then I start attaching the units, and then I started, it's all improvisational, it's working as you go, to create this sense of movement. I just anticipated or knew that with this glaze there would be a lot of interior reflection and reflection within the pieces, and that's what I was excited about. For me, it's really important that the form and the surface are really meant to be together. This is my most recent piece and the one I'm very excited about. Well, I made a conscious decision to bring in some of the sexual imagery I'd used in the 90s when I was in a lot of queer shows. And this piece is basically a stack of symbols, creating a figure with the negative space of the mouth on top. In Hungary, in particular, there's something called, I believe it's called eclectic architecture, whereby you'll see a building with tons of styles thrown in together. Folk art, modernism, Bauhaus, organic, and it's really crazy. And on the first glance, you might think, oh, this is horrific. On the second glance, this is fascinating. So I was really interested in these works, some of which expressed an optimism that existed during socialist times, and some of which were built after socialism as a rebellion against it. The famous artist whose work I love, who worked in iridescence, is Beatrice Wood. And she is magnificent. She even figured out how to do a luster process in an electric kiln. Her methods are not secrets. You can take a little workshop at Ojai in California. But the reality is that it takes years and years and years and years to perfect. This piece is called Bismuth Figure, which again is like from the idea of the bismuth crystal. I realized I was making all these heads, and all of a sudden it popped into my mind that I just wanted to make a humongous figure. And I stopped here because I thought it's more interesting to have the negative space and to just give the feeling of the outstretched arms and the energy in that gesture. I first was interested in lusters because I cast this elephant foot at Kohler, a real elephant foot, sort of making reference to elephant footstools and Victoriana, using animals and exploitation of people's bodies, and has a long history. And I realized that there was no way I was going to be able to bring out all the wrinkles of the skin of the elephant foot because most glazes covered it up. And when I tried the luster on it, it was perfect. It brought out all the texture, all the wrinkles, and I could put the luster on fairly thinly. That's what led me to search for this. I was trying to solve a problem.